do normally do actually to fill this gap is talk about what Ed's got cooking on cooking for dinner whilst we have the chat. So come on.
I was trying to remember how this came about. Was it because you came and did a Zoom here once and I had to cook dinner? It was.
Yes, I think it was. So then it became a bit of a thing. And it was always some variation of chicken. What's on the menu tonight?
I can say, okay, you can translate for me, given your, okay, pollo. That chicken?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought there was more.
Yeah, there's pollo al rosmarino e aglio.
I think most people could probably translate that one.
I wouldn't be able to. Well,
rosmarino?
Yeah, rosmarino is pretty good. But the aglio.
Aglio, garlic.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's a chicken. Well, you first take a bottle of wine and you put the second half of the bottle safely aside. And you put the first half with the chicken in a casserole with the meat and 8 heads of garlic. You won't want to be run around here tomorrow. And
I hope it's just you tonight.
It is. I did ask my neighbour from across the way, but she was busy.
Okay.
And then that's gone in, and then I add something in about half an hour.
Okay.
And
so
then
it's drunk chicken with rosemary and garlic.
You made me feel so small and like a really bad cook.
No, it's just the half bottle of wine I was referring to. I think everyone's pretty much coming in because we're getting lots of people saying hello. How is everyone? Hello. So Ed, are you going to do?
I'll do an intro. I'd love to. Yeah. So welcome everybody to this. Thank you for joining us. A big, very warm welcome to. I don't know how everyone is sitting round in this, but if you don't know me, I'm Ed Seyfried. I'm Chief Executive of Old Gold Racing, and I'm not here for very long. I'm just a bookend. I'm not allowed to talk very long. Francesca always throws me off. But a very big warm welcome, if you're me, to Rebecca Menzies, who's there, and to Donald McCain there. So thank you very much for joining us for what is the biggest Zoom that we've ever done. So well done for all your appeal. Fantastic. And a big welcome to Francesca, who's sitting down there, who's really going to take things on from me, just to sort of give you some evening. Don't all Ed's bottom meals start with a bottle of wine. No, it's a half bottle, we've learned. So just some sort of little parish announcements, and just to sort of say what's going to happen. There are shares available still in both these horses, so please do jump in and sort of buy them. You're going to hear a lot more about both the horses from both the trainers rather than from me. So, but do please jump in. And we've got stable visits coming up, I think, with both yards. The format of the evening is we won't go on for much more than an hour. Last time everyone wanted us to continue, but we know that to leave people hungry, apart from if they're eating chicken with garlic and, it's a bad joke. So the next bit is I will disappear, and Chester's going to talk to Donald and then to Rebecca. Then we've got a whole list of questions. This is our first ever Look North one, and actually someone asked. I think I can say this bit, or maybe you're going to ask this, Chester, so you can sort of kick me under the table how this works. Someone said why have you got Mr. McCain and Miss Menzies, and how did that happen? Are those your questions, Chester, or do you want me to answer those?
No, you go for that. Oh, is this part of our leveling up strategy?
Well, it's in a funny way, but actually what happened is we had no one north of Banbury for quite a long time, and then we went shooting over to Perthshire and had nothing between Banbury and Perth. And we've got lots and lots of owners. We're 15,500 owners now, and people really want to be closer to yards, and we had a lot of people in the north. So in Rebecca's case, you were recommended, Becky, by Paul Nichols, which actually was pretty good. I think it's a pretty good recommendation. So we had a chat there, and you very kindly found us Lenebane, and we're having a lovely time. Donald McCain recommended to us Anthony Bromley. So if you want to go north, Donald McCain's your man. So checks in the post for those two guys. But that's sort of where it came from. And if you're one of the guys watching, we're very aware of the sort of we almost go to the geography first. We tend to go around the country thinking where we haven't got a horse at the moment, or where we're sort of undernourished, and try and find a trainer who's prepared to put up with us and take it from there. But that's how it came about. Very much looking forward to more horses with these guys and long-lasting racing fun there. And on that lovely note, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Francesca. Guys, as you come in, thank you very much. Sorry that you missed the bit at the beginning, but it frankly wasn't very good. If you've got questions, just keep them typing up, and I'll reappear in about, 45, 50 minutes time, and we'll try and run through the questions that people are asking, so that Cheska can kind of stay on a bit of a path, so we don't get too lost. But guys, have a lot of fun tonight. I'm going to go and have some more apple ties, and I will see you all in about 50 minutes time.
Thanks, Ed. This is great, actually, because we're getting so many people on the chat group. I don't know if you guys can see, but loads of people saying, hi, I'm joining. I'm from this part of the country. Great to see everyone. So brilliant for everyone at home. Thank you for joining us. And I'm looking forward to a really good chat with Donald and Becky. And I don't know if you guys have been sent a list of questions that you might get asked, and a bit of a potential of how it's all going to go. But normally we might start on that track, and then it all just kind of goes in any which direction. So that's totally fine, and we like to have a bit of fun with it. And I was about to say we haven't really done two people at once before, but we did have Mick Fitzgerald and Nikki Henderson. So I feel like I've got masses of things I want to ask you both, and please feel free to jump in and chat and just flow naturally. And I was actually thinking a couple of days ago when I was preparing for this, I don't know if I know much about Donald McCain and Becky Menzies. And then as I did a bit of digging, I had actually completely forgotten, Donald, that you worked for my dad way back in the day. And Becky, I actually found out a bit more about you from Max, my fiance, who is your ex or current insurance broker. I'm not sure, but
current,
he was current.
Yeah.
He was saying lots of nice things about you too. So lots to get started on. Donald, I might start with you. Just take us back to those days. To be honest, my mum, who I spoke to, said she didn't have a huge amount of recollection from when you were there. And she said, try Jason, he might know. And Jason, I spoke to, and he said, oh yeah, I remember him. We were both about 16, 17 at the time. And he was always so busy, and he would always be on the big elephants at the front of the string, kind of pretending to ride a finish with his stirrups 3 holes shorter than Leicester. Is that right?
Possibly. You were very young, Jessica.
I was, well, you must have been, what, 17, 18?
No, I hadn't reached 16 when I went down there. I was just under, the day after my last O level, I was in Newmarket, living in Chris Wall's house, actually.
Wow. So I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah. So I was 15 when I went down there to start with, so it's a bit of a shock to the system.
What were your memories of it?
It's just, Newmarket's mind-blowing, isn't it, when you first go down there? You have to remember, I went to school in Liverpool, and my dad trained on the beach in Southport, so it was chalk and cheese. It couldn't have been more different to anything I was used to, and the difference was enormous. But the living on my own was quite enjoyable. Free
from the shackles of family.
Yeah, I think mother had to ring your dad up about 3 months down the line, because there's no mobile phone. She hadn't heard from me in 3 months, alive or dead. So it was great. I was let loose.
Quite refreshing. And Becky, just to come to you, unlike Donald, is it right that you didn't have any kind of family grounding in racing?
Yeah, that's right. Mum and Dad are well allergic to horses, so when I started riding quite a young age, I used to have to come home, strip off in the garage, put all the clothes in the washing machine, and then I'd be let in the house in a dressing gown. They've always been very supportive, but I kind of went out on my own, took a gap year after I did my GCSE A-levels, and then went to work for Ferdy. So it was only supposed to be a year of messing about with horses and doing a bit of a hobby, and before I went to university, and then I decided I'd stick it out, and it turned out to be a good decision.
God, that's so impressive. Especially your poor parents alone. Do they ever come and visit?
Not very often. My mum's just retired, so she started coming over once a week, but she's full of antihistamine, so
Oh no.
kind of can be a bit drowsy sometimes when she comes over.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they're very allergic.
So two very different beginnings in life. And Donald, I've got lots of questions for you about what it was like growing up in your family, with your dad obviously being Ginger McCain and the red rum years. I mean, I know what it's like to grow up with a famous father. Do you have it as a positive memory, or is it sometimes harder because you feel like you've been in their shadow to some extent?
Well, obviously it's positive in many ways because it opens lots of doors, doesn't it, and so on. But there is another side to it as well. You know, there wasn't much of a childhood. It was horses were all consuming, and it is a lifestyle, isn't it? As I know now with my own family, and I've tried to be a little bit different. But in those days, it was, like I say, seen and not heard, and the horses and the owners were everywhere on a daily basis, and it took over, and they were literally outside the kitchen window. You know, you couldn't hide. You know, it was every day. But you wouldn't swap it. It's a great lifestyle anyway. So.
And you were quite young during the red rum years. What do you remember?
Yeah, well, no, I was 6 when he won his last one, so I was very young. I basically, growing up was all about red rum in his retirement, to be honest, and that he was this all-consuming presence that everybody knew, everyone wanted to see. There was visitors, but even till we left Southport, there would always be visitors and things like that, and our whole lives revolved around red rum and what he did for us, to be honest. But the actual racing side of it, I obviously you saw the videos and all that sort of stuff, but wasn't really that clued up, and never got to go to a Grand National till he retired anyway. So.
And for Aintree, we stay with the ITV gang in a hotel in Southport, and we have driven past where, because I'd never really realized he was trained essentially on the beach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But were the stables kind of very much in the kind of town of Southport?
Oh yeah, well, in the village of Birkdale, which is just off the end of Lord Street. So it's a whole street corner, if you like, and Dad's car showroom was covered the whole street corner, and there was an alleyway between the two showrooms that went through to the yard at the back, which was 22 boxes, just 2 rows of 11 boxes. We lived above the showroom and behind the showroom and backed onto there. So when the horses came out in the morning, they sometimes had to stand on the main road and wait for the level crossing to open and the train to go past. They'd walk through the town, parked cars, double-decker buses, all sorts of things. Then you get to the smart part where all the footballers lived, the Liverpool footballers, on the way to just before you got to the beach, and then onto the beach. But the beach is very different now. One of the reasons we had to leave was because the environmentalists were trying to bring the sandhills out to the sea. So when you've seen it now, there's a lot of marshland, isn't there? That was just golden sand when we were there, and you could drive straight on at Birkdale, about a mile down the beach, and Dad used to harrow us. We didn't just camp on the beach like people do. Dad used to be on there first thing every morning, harrowing the strip 1.5 miles long on the edge of the sandhills, and woe betide anybody that decided to sunbathe on
it. That's brilliant. Every day you kind of created your own gallops every day. And
every day, because the tide would take it away at night, and obviously the tide line had come sometimes and wash it up on. So every morning you used to have to hide the harrows in the sandhills from the gypsies, and he'd pull them out, attach them to whatever car he was using at the time from the front, and harrow strip every morning.
That's amazing. And is it right that red rum was unsound, so that was essentially the only way of training him on the beach and with the water? When
he bought him, he was, yeah, and the sea used to. I mean, we used to work up the beach a couple of times, 1.5 miles, and then we'd either come back all the way through the sandhills, which was 1.5 miles, or all the way back through the sea. Same thing, and they'd be doing more work in the sea or in the sandhills than they would when they're actually galloping. But the sea, if there was one thing I could bottle and bring here, it would be being able to take horses into the sea on a daily basis, because it used to sort out so many issues, so many problems on a daily basis that you used to take for granted.
Yeah, well, I always think it's amazing that there aren't more people that train near the sea and able to use the sea. How many would there be training horses in England that would do it?
Well, it's probably just Christian now. Some people go for a trip now and again, and I don't know. Becky, do you take them now and again?
Yeah, but it would be a good 30-40 minutes away. So it's not, like you say, probably the benefit is of going in every day rather than just once a month. We take them to freshen them up rather than to manage any sort of injuries and little ailments. But like you say, the freezing cold water, and like Donald just said, you don't have to be galloping them. Just walking through the water is brilliant exercise for them. And yeah, Rebecca Curtis is near the sea. I think a couple of Scottish trainers are a bit closer than us, but it's a fair drive for us to go.
But it literally was, say, even if you jarred a horse up at the races and you'd box it onto the beach, you could drive the horse box onto the beach and take it straight in the sea and everything. So it was every day in all weathers, and there were all weathers.
Yeah, I can imagine some chilly mornings riding out there. And for you, was it ever in doubt that you would become a trainer?
It was never really discussed, to be honest, but yeah, I always, to start with, I wanted to ride. I was never that fussed when I was a kid. My sister rode more than me, but when you get to a certain age, you started riding every day, and I wanted to ride. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably join the army, I think, because I enjoyed that. I was in a very good cadet force at school and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's hard when it's a lifestyle, isn't it? So it's very hard not to do it. But to actual train, I don't know when that actually came about. It was a long time down the road, but I just wanted to enjoy working with horses.
And give me the highs and lows of the training career so far.
There's been a few lows. I'm the man that's shot racing down with equine flu and that sort of stuff, and obviously I got all those horses taken off me in one period of time. But look, I'm very lucky. We trained a lot of horses for a lot of nice people. I think I've trained over 1,500 winners now or something like that, and obviously a Grand National winner and some great horses. But just try and keep surviving if we can.
And what would you say is your USP? What do you do best of all?
I don't think I've got one. I tell the truth. I do the best I can with everything I've got. That's all it. I'm honest. It's the only thing that'll upset me. People might say I can't train, but don't tell me I'm a liar or anything like that. That's the only thing I've really got. But we've got a great setup here, and surrounded by good people. That's the best thing I've got. They work very hard.
Can't ask for much more than that. And just tell me quickly, in terms of the family commitments, you talked about it growing up for you with your dad as a trainer, and now you've got 3 children that are involved, and the son's
too involved. Finn's no interest. No,
he's not interested.
Not at the moment. No, he likes to say that's his favourite bit. That's about it at the moment.
Okay, and how are the girls getting on with the riding?
Well, good. Abby's still riding. Abby rides over jumps. She's got a ride tomorrow at Leicester actually, and she's very involved here and so on. And Ella came back. Ella was apprenticed to Tim Easterby for 3 or 4 years, and I've rode for Becky as well, I think, and stuff. And she's riding a lot of winners. And then at the start of last season, she just rang me up one day and said that I'm not just getting the kick out of this, that I really think I should, and things were going well here, and she wanted to be more involved in what we're doing. So she came back. I tried to persuade her to keep going, to be honest, because I used to enjoy just turning the telly on and seeing that she had a ride. She wouldn't tell me she was, but I'd see she was riding somewhere and stuff. But she decided she wanted to come back and do this. If your heart's not really in it, there's no point doing it. So Tim was very good to her, and she had a great job, and she didn't want to go anywhere else. If she was going to keep doing it, she'd stay there. But she wanted to get more involved in this, and I must say, in a very selfish way, it's great to have them back, and great to have them being involved in what we're doing.
Do you all get on well, and does it work seamlessly?
Are you joking? No, absolutely not. Three women telling me what to do on a daily basis. No, it's fiery. Actually, there's more because my mother's in the house down there as well. So
oh wow.
I'm surrounded by women, and it's not easy sometimes. But at the end of the day, there's nobody who looks after you better than your family, is there? So we're all getting stuck in together.
I feel like I asked this question quite a few times to people on our Zoom chats. Hobbies outside of racing? None.
No, nothing.
No. That's a response.
I mean, it's all consuming. I mean, 18 months ago, I used to play a bit of golf when I was a kid, and I bought myself a set of golf clubs, and I went to the local course a few times of an evening, but I don't think I ever saw the back nine, because I could only get 9 holes in, and I ended up coming home. That was it. So I've not played for a while, but no, you don't really get in this job. You don't really get much chance to do anything else apart from eat. I'm quite good at that.
Well, that's a good daily hobby. That's quite good. Are you a cook as well? Who
No,
cooks?
definitely not. No, definitely not a cook. I can survive. That's about it. I know Becky will back this up as well, I would imagine. I know pretty much most of the service stations on the M62 and the M6 and what they serve of an evening when you're coming home from somewhere.
How do you find it? Because I was actually, I can't remember what race course I was at the other day, and I was thinking, gosh, all these trainers have had to travel such a long way to get here. And look, of course, jockeys do all the time, but of course, the jockeys have to actually be there to be present to ride the horses. And my dad, I remember growing up, and he unless he was really forced to, he would never go to a race course. And if he didn't,
I remember that because your dad used to go around, people wouldn't believe it, evening stables and check every horse stood up stripped every evening. And I looked after a filly that was in the last box by the office. So it was about 7:30 at night before I got home every night.
You were like, can I trade this horse for the first time?
Yeah. No, she was my favourite, but I didn't want to do that. But it really was. It was. We used to think, please go racing, and he never went racing.
And you don't mind though doing the miles?
No, I don't. I have, to be honest, I have a number of owners that don't get to go that much. My biggest owner barely goes, so sometimes I can get away with it. But it's the job; it is what it is. And to be honest, you quite often need to be there to see the horses at the end of the race and that sort of stuff. But it does take the pleasure out of the job, the driving and the hours and the time stuck in traffic on motorways and things like that. The best days to go racing are Boxing Day and New Year's Day because nobody else is daft enough to be on the road. And you can actually get a good journey, but the rest of the time it can be quite painful.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got the main chat from you, although I do want to come back to horses, Sovereign Star, and I want to find out about Lenebane from Becky, but I feel bad that I haven't directed any questions to you yet, Becky. Right, so we had a little bit of like early days kind of starting out in racing, but so with your two parents who were like allergic to horses, what made you first go, oh, I want to go and have a riding lesson, or how did it start?
I was always mad to ride ponies, and I used to get dropped off at the stables before school. And after school, I had ponies on loan. I was never allowed my own horse until I could afford to buy one myself, which happened without my parents knowing quite early on. I think I was 14 or something. I managed to buy one, and I went from there. Really bought and sold a few ex-race horses and ponies, and kept them at one of the owner's houses, Walter Gott, who had a lot of nice horses in training with Ferdy, and that's how we got connected. Ended up looking after a lot of the horses when they came back for their summer breaks. So Ferdy used to give me 50 quid a week, which was a huge amount of money while I was at school. And I kept a book, and every day at school through my lunch times, I used to follow the progress of the horses when they went back into training, and I became slightly obsessed with them. And that's why I decided through my gap year to go and live the dream for a year. And obviously, however many years on now, still living the dream in a much different way, and one that was never really planned. When Ferdy said he was going to move to France and set up over there, I was a bit lost. I said, well, what am I going to do? And there was a base of 6 horses and 6 owners that didn't want to go to France. And he said, if you find a yard and get your modules done within the next couple of months, you'll be able to set up training. And to be honest, I didn't really have anything to lose. Well, I didn't have anything to lose. Borrowed the money to get the amount of money you need in the account with the BHA to get a license, managed to rent a yard with no license, and put my neck on the line a little bit for that. But like you say, when you've got nothing to lose, it makes you a little bit braver, and that's how we got started.
But what I'm curious is, how did you learn? Like for Donald and I, there was so much that we would have seen and learned through osmosis just by growing up around horses. How did you have a mentor when you were like really little, or was it just like your local riding school, or how did it work?
Not really. It's probably like learning by lots of errors in the early days, and getting hurt. Like I used to I was self-taught. Obviously, I had a few lessons and things, but you learn when you get hurt, and you learn not to do it again. You learn how to get better. every time I got decked, I'd always get back on, and I was a pretty brave kid, and obviously started riding these horses, and that enabled me when I went for that gap year. I started riding out for Ferdy, and then I worked in the office. Like, he was a great delegator. He's a lot better at delegating than I have been. And by the time I was 18, 19, I was driving lorries to France and Ireland, got my HGV, and I was just constantly wanted to be on the road. I wanted to learn as much as I could. Kept my eyes and ears well and truly open all the time, learned off, you know, everybody I could. I would be annoying. Donald will tell you, I always corner him at the races and interrogate him, and amongst a lot of other people as well. And when I was 23 when Ferdy said he was off to France, so it was kind of a case of, you know, I've got a base of owners. Do I go and do this now? Or the other option was, do I go and work for a flat trainer? And it was really 50-50 at one stage, but I just thought I wouldn't have that opportunity again with that small base of horses that I knew a little bit about, and I decided to take the plunge. But, you know, there are times when I've sort of regretted not going and working elsewhere, but at the end of the day, like, I can't knock the position that I found myself in now. And, you know, it's been a lot of people have helped along the way, and it's been great.
Has it been what you expected, taking up the reins yourself and training the horses yourself and everything that comes with it, essentially being the head of a business as well?
Yeah, well, I got, you know, I was at Ferdy's through the years when there was, you know, 120 horses. There was Cheltenham Festival winners. We were going to Punchestown, running horses in France. I had saw the best of it, and I also saw how quickly financially things can spiral out of control. And, you know, he I know he's died now, but he wouldn't mind me saying towards the end of his time in England, things were really, really tough. And I suppose I was lucky in a way that I got to learn from his mistakes, and towards the end. And you know, I had the best and the worst, saw the best and the worst, and I was very lucky that he allowed me so much responsibility from such a young age as well, and that I was able to learn. You know, you're working alongside some great people. When I first started there, Graham Lee was stable jockey, and one of my jobs on a Tuesday when he came in was to write out his diary. So Graham still does it to this day. Every horse he writes in his book. He writes, you know, what trip he ran over, the ground that he ran on, and all his comments. And Graham used to give me that diary on a Tuesday, and I used to copy out the notes for Ferdy and put it on his desk. And, you know, like, his attention to detail and his work ethic and everything else, you know, was very inspiring at a young age. And I was very, very lucky that we were working with some really, really good people.
And as a young trainer, coming to it with, I suppose, kind of relatively fresh eyes and learning from loads of people around you, have you just kind of taken the best bits from everyone else and then implemented quite a lot of your own things, or how have you done it?
Yeah, that's it. Like, when I did my trainers modules, obviously that was down in Newmarket, and in the mornings I went into a few different yards and got my eyes open. That was the first time I'd gone to Newmarket when I did my trainers modules. I hadn't even been to the sales. Obviously Ferdy was more, you know, national hunt base. He had very few flat horses in training, so going down there, you know, opened my eyes about branding and you know, the professionalism of those southern yards. It was just unbelievable. I went over to Ireland and spent time with Gordon Elliott the year before I did my my modules, and spent a bit of time over there. And again, like, you learn more of people like that in an hour than you do off, you know, some people in a lifetime. And yeah, just taking snippets. And like I said at the beginning, it was very much trial and error. We've gone from one yard to another, so halfway through this time I've had to, you know, change how we train them on the gallops, different sort of gallop, and you just adapt and adjust and find out what works for you. And often it's important to start to learn the type of horses that you seem to do well with, and they're the ones that we're now going out and actively trying to source. And obviously it seems to be working out.
Yeah, and how much of it do you find is actually training the horses, being with them, seeing them on the gallops, looking around the yard in the evenings, and how much do you find yourself now having to, you know, do communications with owners or social media or dealing with staff, etc.? How do you divide your time?
Yeah, people, as Donald's touched on, people are key. You know, you need to have the best sort of people around you. this year we've got Sophie in the office. She's been given the task of sort of giving out owner updates, which has taken a lot of pressure off me. We've gone from 6 horses to around 85 riding out at the moment, and it's grown really quickly, but it's grown sustainably, and we've put the people in place that needs to be here. We've got a brilliant girl, Alex, in the yard. She's the head lass. I'm probably short of an assistant, but I don't think it'll be too long before we get one. And I think it's massively important. At the start of lockdown, we employed a full-time videographer and photographer, and he does all our social media, which is great, because if it was up to me, I'd have some pigeons carrying letters around. I wouldn't even have a phone if I possibly could get away with not having one. So John does all of that for me and deals with the inquiries. But you know, it is really important to keep everybody involved, and I get a lot of enjoyment when people come to the yard. You know, we've got an open door policy. The gallops are often watched by visitors. As long as everyone's okay to make their own brews in the morning in the office, they're very welcome to come along. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of seeing people enjoying what we do. You know, I keep saying, like, I'm living the dream. I am massively living the dream. It's training horses is one bit, but to me it's a big game, you know, making everything work, even when things aren't great. You know, there's challenges in looking at what you can do to make things better. The board in the morning is like a giant game of, I want to call it Scrabble, but I sit there for, you know, an hour and a half every morning going through the board and working backwards from races. It's one massive game, and I'm really enjoying it.
Gosh, don't know how you do it, both of you. It would fry my head, I think. But hats off to you both. I'm going to ask you the same questions. How do you switch off? Any time away from the yard?
I find it really hard to leave, and you know, I enjoy going racing, but I love being in the yard. I love when I've got a couple of days where there's no runners. I just love being around here, and that's something that other people, especially on the outside, find really hard to get their heads around. You know, that I don't want to go anywhere. I like Donald, love food. I actually can cook though.
Oh yeah, come on, give us your pièce de résistance.
Oh no, I cook everything. I cook a full Sunday dinner on a Tuesday just for myself. You know, I joined the gym. Actually, I haven't been yet, but I've joined. When I say the gym, it's more of a health club, and there's a spa and a sauna, and that still hasn't even drawn me there. You know, I just I like watching crime documentaries on Netflix at 8 o'clock, but I'm usually asleep by 15:15.
I'm not surprised with a belly full of roast on a Tuesday night sat in front of the telly. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I don't know how you have time for the gym. I've just signed up to personal trainers starting on Wednesday. I'm dreading it. So good cook. That's impressive. And what about family? Have you got, no, you haven't got kids, or I did say to Max, I was like, how old would Becky be? Is she roughly our age? And then
Tell me, what did he say?
He said probably more my age than your age. And I'm like, all right. So he had you about kind of 38.
Jesus Christ.
No, how old are you? Oh, no idea.
I'm younger than that.
You're younger than that.
I don't know if that's a
you
good
look
thing or a
younger
bad
than
thing.
that. What?
Look at Donald, he is loving this. Can we play guess the age of Donald now?
Okay, do you know why? It's because Max has got a real Peter Pan complex. He thinks he's about 25. He thinks he
Not getting out of this one.
Max
I know. No, I'm digging.
Insurance for a very long time, so I can see why he thinks I'm older than I am.
Well, it's probably because you're so accomplished. Here I am. I really am.
There we go. There we go.
Done so much in your short years. So you're still in your 20s, probably, aren't you?
No, I'm 33.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not in my 20s. No, I find it, like I say, it's difficult. You know, at the moment, I'm just so driven doing what I'm doing, and the next few years are really important. And you know, I'd love to be able to buy this place one day. At the moment, I'm just renting the yard. So all I'm doing is to try and get myself into a position to buy here, ideally here. If not a yard of my own. And as I say, we're short of that breakthrough horse. We're short of those Saturday runners, but I think this year we've got the strongest team of horses that we've had, and it's every year it's going in the right direction. The strike rates are getting better, the number of winners are getting better, and there's a lot of things I want to do before I, you know, settle down, shall we say. So it'd be very, very hard to find anyone that would want to put up with me. I've got a 3-leg whippet who who I think loves me. But no, at the moment I'm definitely married to my job, and it will stay like that for the next couple of years, I imagine.
And your house looks lovely, looking behind you there on your Zoom. Is that something you're quite into, like interiors and nice
No,
house?
not really. It's
No?
it's John Wade's garage, actually.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it's grand. It was literally a garage when we moved in first,
Oh.
and yeah, done it up, and makes it nice to come into. As I say, I'm either in here or in the yard usually, so yeah, it's good.
Do you enjoy like getting dressed up for the races or anything? Or
No,
you very much no?
not at all.
Hate that. Do you?
I like Hexham because you can wear wellies and a big coat, and I also like it because in the winter you can just put a big coat over anything that you've worn in the morning and no one really knows. So the flat racing's difficult for me, especially in the middle of the summer where you have to wear a dress. That kills me. Yeah, I need like a stylist.
Well, I know some. I can help you out there.
Yeah.
Right, I think we need to talk about our old gold horses. How are we getting on? How's Lenebane?
She's brilliant. She's been great since she had the wind up. She was a little bit disappointing in Musselburgh. We were all scratching our heads when she didn't run a bad race. She travelled really well to 2 out, and then something stopped her. And we sent her down to Benbrain. She obviously had that soft pallet done. Very, very happy with her since then. She's done a really good bit of work this morning, and we've entered her for Musselburgh at the weekend, which will be a great day out. It's a good weekend of racing at Musselburgh. It's one of the qualifiers for the Northern Lights finals, so I'd be keen, and obviously hopefully she'll run well. Off the back of her work this morning, she'll be thereabouts. The ground is going to be perfect for her, and if we can qualify her for that final at the end of March, that'll be the aim.
And just give us a bit more big picture, like how do you see her career potentially playing out?
She's got a brilliant attitude. She's a great jumper. She's very, very easy to train. She'll definitely jump a fence. She's got the size and scope to go jumping fences down the line. But I think for the next year or so, we'll concentrate on her hurdling, and we've obviously got the mares races to go at as well. But she's probably one of the most genuine horses we've had on the gallop. She always puts 100% into what she's doing. She's a pleasure to have about.
And I think I've seen someone popping up on the chat saying a share is still available in Lenebane, and yes, they are. What's she known as at home? Is it Lenny?
Lenny, yeah.
Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, she's very, very sweet. She loves attention. She's a perfect little horse, really. Couldn't knock anything about her.
Good. Okay, so for anyone who's looking to get involved in Lenny, hop on the website, and yes, shares are still available as they are in Sovereign Star. Donald, can we have an update, please?
He's really good. Yeah, look, I took my time. It was with buying the pointers around Christmas time sort of thing. It's a tricky time of year because you want them as a novice hurdler for the whole season and that sort of stuff. So we've taken our time and let them settle in quietly. We don't have them straight in the yard when they come because they could be carrying, well, anything, to be honest, when they come over from Ireland. So it took a few days and we got him going, and he's just actually starting fast work. He's been doing 3 canters a day up the hill. He's just starting fast work this week, actually. Obviously, they're very fit when they arrive. He's a smashing horse. He's big. He's a bit immature as you want. He's going to be a staying chaser, and he's got a good way of going. And he's shown a fair level of form already. I bought. Rob James is one of the leading point-to-point riders in Ireland, and he trains a handful of horses. And I've only bought 3 horses off Rob so far, and one of them was placed in a Grade 2 at the weekend. The other one won his bumper easily on debut, and the other lad's been second in a bumper and second in the novice hurdle. So the signs are pretty positive at the moment. Rob's been very good to me, and I bought him for a lot less than he wanted, to be honest. He didn't make his money in the ring, thankfully, because I probably wouldn't have bought him otherwise. And because I've had a few off Rob already and he wants the horse to do well, we did a deal afterwards and got him bought, and really pleased with what we see so far. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, so all positive signs for him as well, and I'm guessing fences, and in time he'll stay a bit. And
yeah, absolutely. He'll have a run in a bump in the next few weeks. It'll need to be a big slow track, a big staying track, because he's a big galloping horse, and then that'll see where we go. But it's not going to be 18 months before he's jumping fences, I wouldn't have thought, because he's not that type of horse. But we like him, and the signs are really positive at the moment.
Good. Okay. And then I've just got a few more kind of general questions for both of you. Mainly in regards to training in the north. Is it such a thing? Like, do you think there's a massive north-south divide?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expand.
Yeah, very well, very much. There is very much so. Yeah, I mean, I find it baffling. I mean, you see how well the likes Becky and so on are going at the moment, and a lot of the big southern owners, I find it baffling that they don't expand a bit and have horses elsewhere, because I'm certain there's people in the north that can make a better job of it than some of the ones that end up doing south, but they don't seem to want to come outside that area. You know, I think we're slightly.
Is that because they want horses nearer where they live, potentially, to go and see them more, or they want them running at southern tracks, or what?
I just think there's a little bit of a stigma to it. I really do. I don't think it's more than that. It's just we don't talk posh enough, do we, Bex?
Lol, I think it's when I put the coat over the clothes that I've been wearing today.
Well, you know, I
need to up my game.
You know, I'm becoming a northerner quite soon. I'm moving to Yorkshire in April.
Brilliant.
Does that count?
Yeah, yes. Definitely.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So you'll have to.
We say hello to each other up here and everything. It's great.
Oh. Well, that'd be novel. No. Great. Okay, I'll probably still be kind of. I've been given a mug saying Yorkshire lass. I'm proud of it. But I'm not sure I've really earned those stripes yet. So hopefully I'll be accepted. So okay, and Becky, what do you feel on the north-south divide? Same as Donald?
Yeah, and obviously we're trying to bang the drum as loud as we can and up the game, and there's a lot of people up here that are doing a brilliant job, and I just don't think enough's made of it. We've got some brilliant tracks up the north. We've got some really well attended tracks. I know one of the questions was, you know, the small attendances, but if you go to Kelso on a weekend and see the number of people, real racing people that go to places like Kelso and Carlisle, there's some really enthusiastic people, and I just think more needs to be made of it. Apart from the fact, like, it seems to be a lot cheaper to have a horse trained up the north than it is down the south, and we still have the same costs. You know, we pay our staff top dollar, and we feed, the best hay, the best bedding, and I think it's just a case of showcasing that, and it seems to be a bit better value up here as well. So I'm always banging the northern drum, but we need help from everyone. We need help from our tracks, and I don't really want to go into that on this call, but you know, it's going to be a big joint effort for the long-term future of the sport up here, and there are people that are really working hard to raise the profile. It was great to see, you know, Lucinda's horse down in Cheltenham this week, and Ruth Jefferson's Sounds Russian finishing second, and it just shows if you have got the ammunition, we can go down and you know, that's our aim, to keep heading south and trying to bring the prize money back up here, and attracting those owners up here as well.
Yeah, because it was something that, because as you both know, I was relatively new to National Hunt, as in I was always more in a flat background and abroad during the winters. So I think it was a couple of years ago at Cheltenham when Brian Hughes was champion jockey, or going for champion jockey, and riding more winners than anyone else by a long way, and then he had like no rides at Cheltenham, or a handful of rides. I remember saying to AP and Nick and that lot, well, if he's champion jockey, how come he hasn't got rides at Cheltenham? Because if it was like, I don't know, Will Buick or Sheen Murphy or something, that would be unthinkable that they wouldn't be riding at Royal Ascot. Is that one of the weird kind of discrepancies of the north-south thing?
I think there was a little bit too much made of that, because that's not his job. His job is my stable jockey.
Okay.
And obviously he rides for a lot of people in the north as well. So if we didn't have runners there, Brian Hughes has built his career on riding in the north of England. He's never, if we call this a big job now, he never had a big job until he came here with a lot of horses. He's built a whole career on looking after lots of little people, and it's to his credit that he's ridden so many winners the way he has. But if for example, my main owner, my biggest owner, and lots of my owners would prefer to have runners at Aintree than Cheltenham. We're a northern yard. The prize money is equally as good, if not better. The atmosphere is better. And it's a better racing experience than going to Cheltenham. So, and as a trainer, you don't feel a horse can compete at both places because you can only really take in one festival in a year. Then that's where most of them went. We had one horse, it was a couple of years ago, we had one horse go in, he was declared, and the ground went too soft and he didn't run. Brian's not going to go down there for the sake of it. Brian's driven by riding winners. You know, and if his job, if I had 5 rides somewhere else, if he had a really good ride down at Cheltenham, then he's more than happy to go, and it's not a problem here. But the rides weren't there, and I think it's I can't think of the word. It's a detriment to the people down there not to be using him rather than him not going down, if you know what I mean. Because I was watching an interview with Aidan Coleman yesterday, and he said, I can't believe why he's not on everybody's list first of spare jockeys going down to festivals. But spare jockeys and spare rides aren't really there anymore. Everyone has the stable jockeys, everyone has their own jockeys, and that's the way the job's gone more than ever now since AP stopped. And there aren't really that many outside rides. So I say his job's not there, so he's got to go where his job is.
Yeah, I've really noticed that in National Hunt much more so than in flat racing. People very much stick to the person that rides for them. And like you say, not many outside rides. Now I know there's lots of questions that people want to ask, and I think I've seen Ed popping back up, but he's not allowed to come back in yet. But hopefully he's been collating some of the best questions to ask after. But I've actually got another special segment that we didn't tell you about. Actually, hang on. Wait, I just have to play some music here. Can you hear that?
No.
No, you can't hear that.
No.
Can you hear it at all? No, not at all. No?
That worked well.
Oh, this was Hannah's idea. So basically, we've got the mastermind music. You can probably picture it, but you can't hear it. So we've got some quickfire questions, and they're specifically targeted. So the first one's to Donald, the second set to Becky. If you can't answer them, then the other person's allowed to come in. I'll give you, I don't know, 5 seconds.
Can I Google it?
No, definitely not. Right, you ready for your round, Donald? And the subject is, we'll test your memory from when you were 6 years old, Red Rum.
Right.
Okay. So question 1, which years did Red Rum win the Grand National?
73, 74 and 77.
Correct. What were Red Rum's total earnings?
Oh dear me. Oh, would it be about 200,000 or something?
This is down to the penny, which is very exact, which I wouldn't expect you to get. So you're not far off. What's your guess, Becky?
150,000.
Oh, point to Becky, 146,409 and 80 pence. Very good. How did his name transpire?
He was by quorum out of Marehead.
So half of his name.
Yeah.
Red of Mered and Rum of Quorum.
Yeah.
Red Rum. Very good. Which comedian had a riding lesson on Red Rum?
You're going to say Lee Mack?
Yeah, correct. Well done.
He was called Curly when he worked at the yard.
Why?
He had hair like, well, John Lennon and round glasses on. Yeah.
Okay.
Curly hair, yeah.
Did he do all right riding him?
No.
No.
I
Red Rum
think he only sat. There wasn't much of a riding lesson. He might have sat on him. That's about as far as it went.
Okay.
Lots of people said they had riding lessons on Red Rum, but they didn't.
Take a picture, off you get.
Yeah.
What ailment did Red Rum suffer from?
Pedalostitis.
Very good, which is a debilitating, incurable bone disease, according to this, but
Which was
yes.
cured. Yeah.
Okay. How many times did Red Rum line up for the Grand National?
5.
Very good. Retired the day before his 6th attempt.
Yes.
Name 3 jockeys associated with Red Rum.
Just 3.
Well, I didn't compile the questions.
So Brian Fletcher won 2 Grand Nationals on him. Tommy Stack won 1 on him. Ron Barry rode him. Lester Piggott rode him.
You've hit the 3. Lester Brian and Tommy in this
Yep.
in this list. At which theme park did Red Rum open the steeplechase roller coaster?
It was Blackpool.
Very good. Name the band behind the Red Rum tribute song.
Oh. No, we've got the record hidden upstairs somewhere, but I can't remember now.
Becky?
No idea.
Not a clue. You weren't alive when, yeah. I don't know the band. Chasers?
Could be.
Yep. No, incorrect. Name the number of commemorative Red Rum statues and their location.
There's one in Aintree. There's one in the arcade in Southport. And there's one at Ayr.
Very good. You have scored a total of 8 out of 10.
If you ask me anything in the last 15 years that I've had a clue about nothing, that's the best result I could have had.
It was a good subject matter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very good. Well done. Right, Becky, you ready? Your subject is all things north. And we'll defer it to Donald if you're struggling. List the 8 race courses located north of Sedgefield.
Oh, Jesus.
Nice easy one to start.
Well, I might start at the top.
Okay.
Perth,
Yep.
Hamilton,
Yep.
Newcastle,
Yep.
Carlisle.
Very good.
How many is that? Hexham.
4, 5.
Have I said Ayr? I'm
No.
going there tomorrow.
6.
6. Oh,
2 more.
Jesus. Have I said Kelso?
Yeah. No, Kelso. Yeah.
What's
One
up,
more.
Brett?
Very good.
Okay.
Where is Brian Hughes from?
Northern Ireland.
I mean, County Armagh. Does that count?
It's Northern Ireland.
I'll give you that. Which season did Brian Hughes ride his 20th winner?
20th.
Sorry,
200.
200. Sorry.
How many? 200.
Which season did he ride his 200th winner?
Oh, God almighty. God, it'll be a while ago. Where are we in now? 2023.
No, you mean in a season. You mean in a season.
Honestly, last season.
Which season did Brian Hughes ride his 200th winner? As in,
That'll be ages ago. I'm going to go with that question. I'm going to go 2017. I don't know.
so are we questioning the wording? Because
It's last season. 200 in a season. That's what you mean.
No, it wasn't 200 in a season, Donald. It was 200.
which
No,
season?
he's written about 1500.
Yeah, I know. So when did he ride 200? I'm going to say 2017.
Well, this
Brilliant.
says the 2021-22 season.
That's when he rode 200 in a year.
200 a year. Okay.
We both
Yeah,
get a
like,
point for
We're
that.
going to take it up with the mastermind bosses. Okay.
Do I get a point for that?
We both do.
Okay.
No, you won about 1970 something.
We'll come back to you on that one. Moving swiftly on. Name another former Northern-based champion jockey.
Tony Dobbin. No. Is he a champion jockey?
Are we passing it over?
Go on, Donald.
John Joe.
Oh,
Very
John.
good.
Yeah.
Joe O'Neill. Name Ayres 2 principal races.
Name whose?
Ayr Racecourse.
Oh, the Scottish National.
Yeah.
And the Ayr Gold Cup.
Very good. When and where is the Edinburgh National?
Musselburgh.
When?
December.
Donald?
Is it never?
This week.
Oh, fuck.
This week.
This Saturday, apparently.
Tell you who'll win it.
So half a point. Which horse used to enjoy his summer holiday on the Yorkshire moors?
Desert Orchid.
Very good. Who is the sculptor? I think this means sculptor, not sculpture. Who is the sculptor for the Angel of the North? Sculptor of, I think.
Who is it of?
No, who sculpted it, basically.
Oh, Brian Hughes. No idea.
Donald?
No idea.
That's a hard one. Anthony Gormley. Does that mean anything to anyone? No, me neither. What's the oldest racecourse in the UK?
The oldest.
Yeah.
God, no idea. Donald.
Is it Chester?
Very good.
Oh.
And for a bonus point, can you give me the year it started?
1539.
Very good. Very good.
And that's because the restaurant's on the racecourse.
Oh, not because you heard the
No,
conversation
no,
between Ed and I.
the restaurant on the racecourse.
That is impressive. I mean,
Donald,
I
are
think
you
you get about,
cheating?
you get. Have you been Googling? No, you get about 10 bonus points for that one. That is very good. And where does the north start?
Just below me.
Above Donald McCain.
Just below me.
Look at him, all northern.
Yeah, no, I might. The Watford Gap Service / Derby Station. I mean, I'm not totally sure about
I don't agree with that.
the officialness of that one, but apparently there are lots of people are saying Watford Gap, and Ed is appearing, and yes, lots of defo Watford Gaps. Do you concur, Ed?
Well, obviously some of the questions with the typing was a little bit awry, but people would say it was just a joke question. We just expected you to come up with an answer, which is why Hannah wrote laughter at this point.
Which we had a bit of.
But people do say that Watford Gap, but they think that Watford Gap's near Watford, but it's not. It's in Northamptonshire. And a famous journalist whose name I can't remember says it starts at Derby Station when you're on a train to Newcastle. So there we go. But it was a silly question. I did toss up all the scores there, but I'm too much of a gentleman to say who won.
just say it.
I think Donald's subject matter was easier, to be honest.
No.
He had to remember from a long time ago.
Well played,
guys. Thank you. Was that Francesca? Was that the right moment to jump in and with?
Yeah, I think so, because
cool.
We're not meant to go over an hour because you guys are so kind to give us your time, and for everybody watching, we need to keep it snappy and interesting. So, Ed, have we got time for questions or not?
We've got a time. Should we just do 5 quick questions? We've got 2 minutes, so that's less than 30 seconds for me to say which one the question is for you guys to answer. So I'm pitching these pretty much as just, we've been sent a lot of questions, a lot of you have seen them coming up, and actually a lot of them got answered in the course of the things. I'll be quiet. Do we have any betting tips for this week, please? That's come from Helen Patience, I think, or possibly from Gary, and he needs some money for a new share in both the horses. So can we have one winner each, please?
Becky's the one that lines them up for gambles, not me.
Oh. I would say I've got a couple of chances tomorrow at Ayr. High Moon should run well, and we've got a horse in the bumper called Edgewell, who's having his first run for us, and he should be a big price, so a little bit each way on him won't go too badly wrong.
That's absolutely fantastic. That one's been answered. That one from Helen Patience. Here's one for kind of both of you to leap in on. Does Ireland have any kind of north-south divide? Does Ireland have a north?
Definitely has a north. It's a different.
Yeah, I know, but is there a divide there when a horse runs at Downpatrick or?
They tend to come over here, don't they?
Yeah, nick all the money. Yeah. Oliver, here, based in Ireland. Great. Yes. Okay, that's just someone typing something. Okay, I'll find one more question. I'm just scrolling here. Hey, here we go. This is not too much in depth because I know we don't have time, but can either of you give some insight into buying a horse from Ireland? What pre-purchase checks are you able to take? This is from Paul Q, I believe. And what things do you look for as a trainer that really gets you excited about a horse in Ireland that you want to buy in?
Who's going?
Donald buys a lot of horses from Ireland, so this one.
Do you not? Because Lenny came from Ireland, didn't she? So
She did, yeah.
So, well, we like them both. Okay, the answer is we bought horses from Ireland and we like them.
Well, they have a whole system in Ireland to educate young horses that we don't have over here. The whole point-to-pointing system allows you to kind of find out what they are what they are going forward. And somewhere along the line, you have to find someone over there that you trust to work with, and they are all there to sell. But the beauty of them is there's no benefit them keeping them when they're shown any form. They have to sell them. So the joy in the puzzle is trying to find the right ones, obviously.
Just really quickly, why does pointing work like that there and not here?
Well, pointing over here is more geared around the social side, and a lot of, I mean, there are maidens, but mainly failed racehorses to give people pleasure and enjoyment at a lesser level, whereas the pointing in Ireland is pure business. It's pure producing young horses for sale.
Has it always been like that?
Yeah, and it's got more so in the last number of years because the money involved is, I mean, you talk about the flat, Francesca, but if you found out the money that's being spent on pointers compared with quality flat yearlings and things like that, it's absolutely frightening. And you know, whereas over here you'll have maybe one maiden, an open, a ladies race, a restricted, this, that, and the other. You'll have 4 maidens and 1 open, or 5 maidens and 1 open in Irish point because they're all there to produce and sell. That's what it's all about.
That's a really good answer. Guys, thank you very much. Sorry, guys who've been sending us questions, thank you very much. Some of them were just very detailed about specific things, and I quite like the sort of more open questions. I think really it's just time to just wrap the whole thing up. The people commenting here are just saying this has been the even best Zoom ever, more than the last Zoom, which was the best one before that. So panel, I can't thank you enough from Old Gold Racing's point of view. Hannah, if you're watching, thank you very much for doing all the compilation and pulling everything together, and Holly, who knows a holiday, but she did lots too. James, thank you very much for the production behind the scenes, but most of all, Cheska, thank you very much for pulling this whole thing together in a sort of live sense and, you know, question and answer sense. You're so good at it, and we love having you. Thank you so much. Becky, thank you very, very much for showing us your living room. And you just need to read through all the columns because people just loved what you were saying. They just, you know, they were just waxing lyrical about you. So just screenshot all that. When you have a loser, just read all that and you'll feel really happy again. And Donald, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to see Sovereign Star on the racecourse. I know it's not too long. And guys, you know, thank you. This is when we needed the curtains and the music and the rest of it. We don't have it. I can't thank the 3 of you enough. It's been really, really, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and my chicken's overcooked. Thank you so much.
And Becky, I'll be sure to correct Max on his.
I'm going to watch that bit again because that is just. We were looking at threads to put out on social media. That one.
Oh no! And then me digging afterwards. I'm sorry.
Squirming afterwards is just absolutely priceless.
Terrible, terrible. I apologize. Right, so the chicken's ready. Good.
I think it's probably overcooked because I sat watching rather than cooking. I found the other half bottle of wine. It's good. So some of it's gone into make gravy and some of it's gone into me. And it's what could go wrong?
Perfect.
Right. I can't thank you guys enough. I don't want to stop, but time has come.